We like to drink beer, a lot of it. After a long night of drinking and talking crime and conspiracies, there's nothing that wakes us up and gets us ready to start the day better than Just Brew coffee. With a great selection of roast levels to choose from, you're guaranteed to find one that suits your style. Small batch roasted to highlight the unique features of each coffee bean, Just Brew coffee caters to both casual and hardcore coffee drinkers alike. Since 2010, Just Brew Coffee has worked tirelessly to perfect the roasting process and technique, which has resulted in seriously delicious, always flavorful, and never bitter tasting coffee. If you're already drinking JBC, raise your mug. If you're not, raise your standards. Check them out in social media and remember, they roast, you just brew.
Check out their new online store at youjustbrew.com and up your coffee game today. Use code NECRO15 to receive 15% off your order of 2 pounds or more.
So I need to cover today's episode like I need a hole in the head.
We need the drum.
Yeah. So bonus episode today. This is a fun one. We're going to talk a little bit about some old-timey medical treatment.
Yeah.
What is today, Ian? Tell us about this.
Today we're going to go over trepanning. Trepanation is an ancient surgical procedure where a hole is drilled or scraped into the human skull, exposing the dura mater to treat health problems related to blood buildup from a head injury.
So scraped, not just drilled, scraped.
Yeah.
That seems pretty painful and like it would take a long time.
Yeah. So this is a legit ancient practice where they're just going to freaking dig into your skull.
Yeah.
Well, how did ancient people diagnose blood buildup in the brain, I guess?
When I was looking into it, I was thinking like if you got hit in the head or something, like you had like a big
an actual swelling?
Yeah, like you were swelling up. They were like, oh shit, we got to drain that.
That
Maybe.
logical.
I think I've heard of that still happening today with certain like practices with swelling on
Traumatic
the brain.
head injuries?
With traumatic head
absolutely.
injuries.
I think they have to do that to drill in to relieve
My
the swelling.
first thought goes to Hulk Hogan's son, Nick Hogan, when he got in that car accident years ago. Do you guys remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
Where he had he was going like 80, 90
killed
miles
someone,
an
didn't he?
hour. He didn't kill his buddy. His buddy had a real bad head injury.
Okay.
And his brain was trying to swell. And I think I watched a documentary about it. And finally a doctor was like, well, why don't we just let it swell? And they cut his skull to let it swell and kind of heal itself. And now, I mean, the guy's missing half of his head out of it, but it saved his life, I guess. And I think the Hogans are still paying for his medical expenses to this day.
It makes sense when you think about it.
Right.
Was Hulk out banging Bubba's wife at that time?
So, according to Hulk Hogan, it was in Hogan's book. I read it in Hogan's book. He was out on his boat all day drinking.
Oh.
It's questioned as to whether or not Nick was drinking with his buds. Hulk says no. I'm assuming he probably was. They went back to the house to shower up before going out to eat. Nick and his buddies took off first, and then Hulk was after them driving separate, and that's when Nick wrecked his car. I don't know the story well enough to know if there was alcohol in Nick's system or not.
Generally, when you drink and drive, you want to go 25 with both hands on the wheel, not 80, right?
I don't know. I try not to drink.
Not that I drink and drive, but that would be me.
I call Uber or Lyft possible sponsors of the show in the future if you're listening.
Or we walk.
We walk.
Because we all live in the same
We all live
neighborhood.
Yeah. We just drink at each other's houses.
I'll be walking home tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the difference with trepanation versus like modern day stuff is trepanation, they would just leave the hole open. It would just stay open. Permanently, right.
Because how would they fill it, right?
Right. You would always have this
skull.
You would always have a hole in your head.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It was also used for people who were said to be behaving in a strange way, and it was used to let the evil spirits out.
What does that mean, strange way? I feel like that could be very dangerous.
Mentally ill. sure.
Yeah.
That's
for
what I
most part.
thought. But is that what they're alluding to here? Like if they deemed
Probably.
you,
Or people possessed by the devil.
I mean-
Annalise, they probably would have drilled into Annalise's head.
they
Yeah.
probably should have.
Well, I mean, in that, like the witch, like witch trials and stuff,
yeah,
if you
all
even
that
just
stuff.
thought different than other people,
Boom, hole in your head.
Yeah, probably, I would assume. But so there's evidence of trepanation going all the way back to prehistoric human remains from the Neolithic times. And when I was reading into it, it said 5 to 10% of skulls found from that era show signs of having the procedure performed.
It's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah. And they
It's
said,
probably just all the girls with the cavemen clubbing them in the head and dragging them back to the cave, right? Piece of their skull cracked off.
That or their skulls then started bleeding, and they're like, "Oh, we got to do something about this." Boom, drain it.
and I don't know where the evidence comes from on this part, but the science thing I was reading said that they believe that these prehistoric people wore the piece of skull that was removed as a charm to keep evil spirits away. That made me think of the Norwegian black metal stuff when they sent the guys pieces of skull around to wear on people's necks.
Mayhem.
Yeah.
Well, this topic got a whole lot cooler today. Now we're talking about Norwegian black metal.
We're going to do a show on Mayhem one of these days.
That's the first thing I thought of when I read that.
Keepsake.
Wait, are you saying that would be a bonus episode?
That's a full episode there.
I think we found our new intro. I have to do it now, just for my own,
I think you just did.
just to pop myself.
So during the Middle Ages and in the Renaissance, trepanation was practiced in an attempt to cure seizures, and they also used it to help heal skull fractures and other. But that's the thing, though. I don't understand how it would help heal skull fractures.
It's probably the
Because
swelling
aren't you literally
thing.
just fracturing the skull more?
I don't.
But it's probably the swelling, the associated swelling with, with the fracture, like we were just talking about.
Is there always swelling with the skull fracture? I mean, I know we're talking nowadays. This is
always, but I think a lot
freaking
of times.
barbaric. But okay.
Yeah.
I mean, is this around the time when they used to do bloodletting and all that kind of stuff?
Probably.
People were sick.
What time are we
Slice
looking
them
at right
open
here?
and
Oh,
bleed
Middle
out.
Ages.
Yeah, like the Renaissance and stuff.
They had all those wacky.
They were all
medical
about breaking your.
devices and
They were all about
practices.
just opening your body and
Yeah.
letting things. Spill
Oh,
out
you're
of
sick?
it.
Let me slice you open and bleed
the
some of that
the sickness
out.
will fall out.
That science thing I was reading too said that they found 8 skulls in southwestern Germany that dated to from the 6th to 8th century, and they all had evidence of trepanation, with 7 of them showing signs of healing and survival after the trepanation, which suggested that the survival rate was high and there wasn't infection.
So it worked.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tomorrow morning I'm gonna cut open my stomach and let this hangover fall out of me. So that's how it works, right? You just cut yourself open, let it spill out.
Out of your stomach?
Well, it's where all the beer's gonna go. My gut.
Have some
beer
yogurt probiotics. It might work a little bit. Those Germans are master engineers, right? So if they, I'm sure they knew what they were doing.
They also said that in pagan graveyards, they found that 12% of the skulls found had trepanations done, but they said most of these came from ritualistic reasons for releasing evil spirits.
This is where Annalise would have been
Yeah,
mauled up or cut up.
right. And they said that the evidence they found suggested that wealthy people would have been the ones to have gotten this done. So maybe
Poor people that are possessed, they just probably kill.
maybe this was like a trendy thing to do or something.
Maybe.
Well, they're the ones who can afford it. There wasn't Medicare for all back then.
But getting into modern medicine, it was used as a precursor to the lobotomy. And initially, a hole was made into the skull, like a traditional trepanation, with an instrument inserted into the hole to destroy the part of the brain they were looking to get rid of. And then it was later made unnecessary when they developed the orbital transit lobotomy, where the spike was inserted through your eye socket to destroy the frontal part of your brain.
I've watched
So
the
that
whole
was-
thing on that before. That's brutal.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about lobotomies, and then when I read this, it really freaked me out.
Yeah.
So what's a lobotomy?
They slide a spike right into the corner of your eye here and go
And
past
they
the skull.
so they destroy your eye.
Just taps a no,
No,
it just
they-
goes through the canal, the spot there, and it taps a part of your brain out. It
And it
destroys that
wasn't
frontal-
really successful, correct? Like it
It
was.
made people zombies, more
Yeah.
or less. But it's just
And
when
they did
show
that to
it
people
sliding
with-
right into the corner of your eye, right past the nasal cavity there, and they tap it with a spike, and
It would have been like mental asylums and stuff like that.
Right.
it was a way to make people calm.
Yeah.
People that were out
But
of
it,
control,
too
mentally
calm,
ill.
really. They
were
you said.
zombies.
Okay, and I
So
knew
it-
that was the result of it. I just didn't know exactly how it worked.
What's your frontal cortex, right? That controls all that, like your emotions and stuff. And that's what if I'm correct,
It would tap through that and
right, and
destroy
it
that part.
destroys the frontal cortex, and then you're just kind of, like you said, like a zombie.
Zombie-like state.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's just brutal. Seeing it in the corner of your eye there and just tap.
You've watched videos on this?
Yeah, documentaries from back in the 50s. That's what they did to JFK's sister.
That's where my knowledge of this comes
Yeah.
from.
The guy that created the orbital transit is really interesting. We could do a bonus episode.
I watched
on
the whole
him.
documentary on
could
that
do a
guy
what?
specifically.
A bonus.
Bonus episode. Well, that's it.
That's going to be a mainstay. I figure.
That's the thing. Every Thursday, all you people look forward to that.
So, but yeah, trepanning continues to this day. People believe in it. They claim that it increases blood flow to your brain, which would give you a higher state of consciousness. Or some people say it can naturally treat psychological disorders like depression.
Do you get high?
I don't know. This Dutch librarian named Bart Hughes in 1965, he drilled a hole into his own head with a dentist drill.
Was he a doctor / librarian or just a librarian?
Nope.
With some free time on his hands and some books.
Yeah, he claimed that children have higher states of consciousness since their skulls aren't fully closed. And his theory was that adults could return to that state of consciousness by doing a self-trepanation. So he drilled a hole into his own head.
And did he feel that?
I guess yeah. I mean,
He developed the Dewey Decimal System in the library shortly after. No, that's
And
not
roll
true.
roll credits.
So my question is, if you're self-drilling a hole into your head, how do you know when to stop and hold up on the pressure before you shove the drill into your fucking brain?
That's
Yeah.
all of this. How do you not bleed out with some of this stuff? Like it's your head.
Can you imagine drilling a hole into your fucking head?
No, I can't even watch the video.
I can barely cut my toenails, let alone put a drill in my fucking head.
When I give blood, I cannot even look. I have to look the other way
Exactly.
and like hum a song to myself.
Right.
I don't understand how you can do that.
I don't understand getting so set on.
So you're
an
saying you would
idea.
have trepidation,
And hashtag.
and boom goes the dynamite.
That's a new shirt, I think. What is it? Trepidation.
That's it.
That's
Sell
a shirt.
it.
That's a shirt.
Sorry, Ian, I cut you off.
Right.
For the record, nobody responded to us about wanting our portraits. Did we talk about that last week?
Yeah, we
Was
talked
that two
about it on
episodes?
part
Okay.
three.
Still salty about that?
Still, nobody has responded
so
about wanting
sorry.
our portraits. I am a little salty.
How many did you buy and sign? He's got he's sitting at home with a
my
whole stack of photos waiting to
FedEx
send
is
them out.
still delivering them to my house. I was hoping at least 1,000, and that's the unsigned ones.
It's like, I thought they loved me.
Fuck.
But yeah, this guy, he was a big advocate of it. He claimed it worked.
So what's the after story with this guy? What happened? Anything we know?
Well, he inspired a book written by this guy named Joey Mellon. He wrote this book called Bore Hole about his journey in self-trepanation.
Borehole, not a hole.
And it was with him and then his girlfriend at the time, Amanda Fielding. And Amanda Fielding was like a big person in neurological science at the time, and she headed up a bunch of organizations and stuff. And then when she got with this Joey Mellon guy, she just like went off the deep end with this trepanation shit. Joey Mellon had attempted twice at trepanation before he was successful, with his second attempt landing him in the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. which was
So it took
successful.
actually 3 tries to get it right.
Yeah, to actually get it to
He had
work.
2 failed attempts and then a third one.
Yeah.
So did she do it to him, or did he do it to himself?
He did it to himself with her monitoring it.
Okay.
And it sounded like the first 2, there was just like a fuck ton of blood, and it just didn't work out, and he had to go to the hospital.
Who could envision a bunch of blood coming out of you when you drill a hole in your own head?
yeah.
Unintended consequence.
So yeah, I pulled this quote from his book from his third attempt, which was successful. Mike, you want to read the quote? Do it in your best science, like mad scientist voice that you.
You always throw these things out like I'm a voice actor or something.
that you just discovered the newest thing in medicine.
After some time, there was an ominous sounding slurp and the sound of bubbling. I drew the trepan out and the gurgling continued. It sounded like air bubbles running under the skull as they were pressed out. I looked at the trepan and there was a bit of bone in it. At last!
Very good. It's the best one you've done yet.
Slurping.
Slurping. Is that, what's the word when it sounds like what it is? Didn't we talk about this once before? Is that onomatopoeia? When the word sounds like what it is,
I think
that's an onomatopoeia, I believe. Also bubbling. I
That
believe.
sounds horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Drilling
wondered,
in your skull and that's what you hear.
yeah. Like I wondered if that's all he could hear. Like if it was like real fucking loud. You know, like that's how I imagine it. Like it would
Because
be
you
like,
hear it in your own head.
right, like it's just fucking loud, like this crazy air rushing and slurping sound.
Yeah, it's the bubbling is probably like the blood falling into like his skull or into his fucking head. I don't know where it goes.
Right, yeah.
So my question going forward, do you leave the hole open? Like, is it in like your forehead? Does your hair grow over it?
It's like right up here, like not in the middle of your head, but like down a little bit more.
like right in the crown, right above the crown.
Yeah.
Do you let hair grow over it? Do you?
If I remember,
That was the picture I sent out that we posted for this episode.
Yeah.
Where it's right in the skull.
So it's always done in the same place there?
Well, I mean, if you look like some of the pictures I found, the skull looked like literally. I saw a picture. It looked like the top of a bowling ball. Like there was like 3 divots that like you can stick your fingers
How do
in.
you function
I don't know
like that?
how or why there was 3. That person must have been really sick.
if I remember the 1998 documentary about it, with this guy is in that documentary, I'm pretty sure that he had like his hair was just like cut a little bit around there, and it was just always open.
Wait, look at this one. Like that's.
Well, that's like old school. That's fucking crazy.
That's like a mallet killing someone back of
That has to be
head.
like prehistoric.
I don't know. I'm just having trouble getting the understanding the drive to do this to yourself. People are just fucked up, I guess. I still want to know how you put pressure on and ease up in time without going into your whole brain.
Yeah.
Just a little bit at a time until
Maybe.
you stop hearing the bone.
Or till you hear the
slurping?
the air rush through.
Slurping should be associated with fellatio and not drilling into your fucking head. That
It
is
should
all.
be a good
That is
pleasant
all.
sound.
Well, his girlfriend Amanda Feeling, she also performed a self-trepanation using a drill, and Joey filmed this for a short film called Heartbeat in the Brain. She screened the film in 1978 at the Sudam Gallery in New York, which obviously caused a lot of controversy, and it said that some people fainted towards the end of it when she actually broke through her skull with the drill.
Yeah, I would.
And that's where this whole thing even caught onto my radar, because it's that documentary is said to be lost. Because I'm into like lost media and stuff, and like things that are supposed to be gone forever. But there's clips of it in that 1998 documentary that we were talking about called "A Hole in the Head," and they have a couple
Clever
clips,
name.
yeah, right? But and then when I was looking into this again, because I haven't looked at lost media stuff in a long time, it said in April of 2011 the film was publicly screened at the Institute of Contemporary Arts in London, but I couldn't find who screened it, who owns it, or who actually got to see it. I couldn't find any article that
There's only just the little clips of it that you can find if you Google it.
right, and I couldn't find anything about anybody that actually went to this 2011 screening of it.
I personally am happy about that, because if you would have found it, I probably would have had to watch it tonight, and I
Did you even see the clips
do
of it?
not want to watch that.
Do you ever see the clips?
No, and I will not be watching it.
You would only watch the full version, not the
No, I
clips.
will not watch any of that nonsense.
The documentary is interesting. It's just this Joey Mellon guy, and because he married a woman and she also got a trepanation done.
What the fuck?
And it's just them talking about how great it is and all the benefits.
Like, what are the benefits?
Did you say
This
this?
higher state of
That's it.
consciousness.
Okay, so I
Higher
was going
state
to
of
ask, why were they
consciousness.
getting this done if they had nothing wrong with them for that higher state of consciousness?
Yeah, but I mean,
What does that mean, though?
I was been trying to figure that out. I
You
was
feel
just
like you're on
thinking
shrooms
I
all
should
day
have assumed
long?
I knew what that meant, and I
What does
wasn't
that
going to bring it
mean?
up and embarrass myself. But since we all don't know, I don't know what the fuck that means.
you just hit up Joe Rogan and get some DMT. That'll take you to another level.
I'd rather
of
do that than have a
consciousness.
freaking hole in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, I went hard on this documentary back in the day, trying to find anything I could about it, and can't find it. And I got excited when I saw this today. I'm like, oh shit, I can go find it now. I can probably go look, and nothing. Can't find anything about it.
I'm not sad about that. I'll have to admit.
I watched the clip video, and it's fucked up. It's hard to watch.
Yeah, she's got the bandages all
Big
around her
bandage
head.
and like all around her glasses and stuff, just to like cover or protect, and she's just going straight into her forehead. And then at it's very quick. There's not a whole lot of like footage, and then you just see blood everywhere. Like it's unpleasant.
I'm getting queasy just listening to you talk about it.
We'll stop so he doesn't go keel over on us.
Yeah, and I don't even know how long the original film, The Heartbeat in the Brain, is.
Well, how long do you think it takes to get to your skull?
I don't know. Maybe
That's
they
how
were
sharp the drill is. I would.
Well, if it's,
imagine.
I mean, they're using like dentist drills. I don't know.
maybe they were talking about other shit before. I'm really interested in it, but I don't know. I think it might be officially lost. Kind of like an urban legend at this point.
You know what's not officially lost? The alternate ending of Halloween 5.
Oh yeah.
Coming out soon.
Right.
I wonder if that was on the Lost. There's a whole wiki out there of Lost Media. I wonder if that's crossed off the list now.
I wonder.
It's interesting. I love that Lost Media stuff. It's so cool.
I'd have to rewatch Halloween 5. I remember it.
Remember where he goes down the well at the end of 4, and then he flows down the river, and that old guy.
But that's 4. You're talking about the end of 5.
The beginning of 5.
Oh, I thought you just said the end of 5.
The beginning.
The beginning
Where
of
that old
5.
guy fishes him out of the river.
That's right. And isn't it like loosely tied into 6 with the curse that they put on him? Yeah.
But the alternate beginning of 5 is completely different. It's like
I don't think I want to
some
see
sort of priest something.
No.
And
Because Halloween 6, what is it? I think it's the curse of Michael Myers is an abomination of the entire series.
where they shoot up the
It's
police station at the end.
terrible. And so if Halloween 5 is in any way tied into that, F that. I'm out.
I read Mustafa.
I'd rather have a freaking Trepanning done to me than watch that.
We can arrange that.
All right, yeah, well, when you get me hypnotized, then you can do it.
I got a drill out in the garage.
All right, let's do it. Live. Let's film this, my death live on air.
Explain that to the police.
Like, well, we have the footage, the recording. He's asking us to do it. He wanted to feel a higher state of consciousness.
We didn't have any shrooms, so we drilled a fucking hole in his head.
Officer, would you rather us have done illegal drugs?
Or just kill our best friend. Yeah, so that's Trepanning.
Not pleasant.
No, and there's a lot of historical shit that I skimmed over. You know, that's just kind of.
There's all kinds of wacky medical shit throughout the ages
Yeah.
with the bloodletting and the. all
There's
that
some
stuff.
creepy artwork though. For whatever reason, that medieval artwork always creeps me out.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah, there's some wild artwork of people. Their face looks all fucked up, like they're all like on drugs or something, and someone's just drilling into their head.
Now that I could get into that.
I think I saw something like that looking through. It actually looked like somebody had a what was the math device? Like not a protractor,
Compass.
like a compass. Is that a photo you saw? It looks like they're using a compass on the top of their skull, and their head is like all like their face is all disfigured.
Yeah, I think that's
Watch this. A compass. That's what it was. Very dangerous to have those. Do they still have those in school? Compasses?
I don't know. You could maybe do it with a wine bottle opener. You have to do it pretty hard with a wine bottle opener
yeah.
to crack your skull.
We could try it to a dog and see how it works.
Oof. I don't want that PETA coming after me.
We do it to my neighbor's dog. Maybe he won't bark anymore.
Do it to this dog down the couple houses down here.
The frontal lobotomy to all his dogs one night.
Oh gosh.
They just sit in the yard and stare at you and drool on themselves.
I'm gonna let you guys take the heat on that one. People draw the line when it comes to animal cruelty. They'll listen to fucking Jim Jones kill all these motherfuckers, Richard Ramirez rape these women, but you start talking about cruelty to dogs, that's a whole nother level of pissed off.
I wouldn't really trepan a dog.
So trepanning, Ian, you got anything else for us?
No, that's it.
Dave, you got anything else on trepanning or holes in the head or
Do not send me the videos, please.
extra hole to stick your dick in or
What did you say? Send it.
send an extra
She's talking about trepanning glory holes now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, if anyone actually can find this video of what was the chick's name?
Amanda
Fielding, the full video of her trepanning. You can find, like I said, I googled it earlier, and all you can see is clips on, I think it was Daily Motion or something. I shouldn't have said that. Now they're gonna take it down. I don't blame you. No problem. All right. Anything else?
No.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right. Well, that's trepanning. We'll talk to you guys Sunday.
See ya.